I'm plugging this into and holding further into the socket so that I don't get any more low battery warnings while we're doing this. Spoilers will be coming. We're going to start this in a more general sense about The Last Jedi and about the whole thematic aspect. And I guess, excuse me, we'll start there because smoked the bowl and we got some weed. We might see some weed burps. Thematic. I liked a few thematic things. We'll start in the positive. Whenever I broach a subject and whenever I think of it, I'll say the positive things first. Because there's actually a lot I don't like about this movie. Preface all this with I'm a huge Star Wars nerd. I'm a gigantic Star Wars fanboy. Before we went to the movie, my family bought me a Revenge of the Sith poster because I am a Star Wars dork. My favorite three are the first three, followed closely by the expanded universe and the role-playing game that I played, the Star Wars miniatures game that I played, and many other things like the books I've read and the fan films I watched. There was a point I was such a big fan, I was watching people who made Jedi fan films on YouTube. And let me shut this door a little bit so we don't have to hear my bird too much anymore. Switch hands. Hand switched. Achieved. That's my freezer. It's got a bunch of shit for moving on it. Not moving. For putting the new floor into the other room. Just home improvement stuff piled up. Oh, and my paint that I use to prime orc vehicles. Red paint? Because the red ones go faster. We're not talking about work vehicles, and we're not talking about putting new floors in my house. We're talking about Star Wars. The thematic difference between the old Star Wars and the new Star Wars is about as much of a thematic difference between old Star Trek and old Star Wars. Old Star Wars was a science fantasy. It wasn't science fiction. Science fiction is 1984. Science fantasy is Star Wars. Star Wars is a great franchise that I really enjoyed, but tonally it's always been about a new hope. You know, the bringing balance to the galaxy with Luke Skywalker, the moisture farmer who looks wistfully off into the distance. And that's something I liked. I didn't like most of Luke's character, and I didn't really enjoy most of what Luke did because it didn't seem like things Luke Skywalker would do. It seems like things they tried to make a bitter Luke Skywalker do, but I don't know if Luke Skywalker is the kind of person to get bitter. Luke Skywalker is the archetypal hero who, despite literally being disembodied by Darth Vader and then having this truth bomb dropped on him like, yeah, I'm your father, also I chopped off your hand. He still does not give up on this person, and in something that happens in the movie, because we're doing a more tonal thing, we'll get back to this in a minute if I remember it. The tone of Skywalker, the whole archetype of the Jedi is that he is the noble leader that started off as a nobody, and you know, even despite, yeah, there's a bad guy in fucking the expanded universe called Cade. Is it Cade Bane? Have you ever heard about him? No, it's because you don't know about the expanded. Most people don't know about, Cade Bane, which was again a child of Han. This is the one thing they took from the expanded universe. It was a child of Han Solo who was force sensitive that went bad. Luke Skywalker didn't try to kill him. He didn't hate him. It was just a thing. Here's the thing. His dad kind of hated him because I think his dad viewed all of his children responsible for Chewbacca's death. Because in the expanded universe, Chewbacca died. Not in the films. In the expanded universe, I think Chewbacca, like stopped him, like flew a starship into a moon to stop it from murdering everybody, some shit like that. I don't remember. It was a long time ago. I read that like middle school, whenever the book came out. I don't remember. A long time, many moons ago. But Luke isn't the type of person to give up on the galaxy and turn himself off from the Force. In fact, he's the person that does the opposite. And again, like, things happened. And that's the whole thing. We'll finish off, we'll close out the tonal thing here, using Luke. I don't think they understood Luke's character as a Jedi, and then they kind of assassinated his character that he was in the trilogy and in the expanded universe by making him this like bitter old man. But the thing is, that's not the way Luke was, and that's not the way the entire Star Wars trilogy was as a thing. The entire tone is off. It's like they didn't understand the reason. They're starting to catch whiffs of why things were the way they were. Like AT-ATs. A reason AT-ATs were AT-ATs isn't because they were there to stop rebels from getting into the Rogue One base, the base in the Rogue One movie. There shouldn't even have been AT-ATs on that planet. That's not a planet where you put your mass destruction, scorched earth weaponry that you use to murder shit. That's the place where you use AT-STs, all-terrain scout transports, instead of all-terrain armored transports. That's what AT-AT stands for, an AT-ST. I mean, also they could have had an AT-MT, all-terrain mountain transport. That is an expanded universe robot. The thing is, they don't understand what made AT-ATs AT-ATs. They don't understand what made Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia, Han Solo. Actually, they did the rogue pretty good in this movie. What, Benicio del Toro's guy, who, like, screwed him over, and then, like, this is gonna bite you in the butt. He's like, maybe. Like, during most of the film, I was like, he's okay. He was the character I was most interested in, besides Finn, who wasn't that interesting in this movie. I liked Finn in the first film because he was like an actual Star Wars character. He was almost like a Star Wars character you would play from the role-playing game. Finn was in the first movie, where it's like there's a character who's like, used to be part of the first, used to be part of the First Order. Now I'm not. I had to take my arm off. We got a couple flops, and I had to put the whole power assembly that I'm holding into my other hand. That was where the most of the flopping came from. He was more of a resolute character in this film, but like, he started off resolute. He started off the same dude who like runs away from problems and like kind of this coward, but then for no reason he changes somewhere on the planet. All right, spoilers ahead. They don't understand what it made AT-ATs because AT-ATs, after the Death Star was blown up, were a representation of the Imperial might. That is the entire point of Hoth. The entire point of Hoth is to show us, the viewer, that the Empire was, even though their big new death weapon was exploded, they didn't give a crap. They were like, yeah, rebels? Okay, you really just made us mad? Check this one out. You got a stronghold base? Yeah, we've got a stronghold base hammer, and they dropped the hammer, the AT-ATs, these unstoppable, machines that were a force that cannot be reckoned with. That is the entire point of the AT-ATs, and through the rest of the film, they were used to display Imperial might. Like when they put an AT-AT in, they were like, this is a stronghold! You cannot get past here! Because we will eat your shit! Figuratively, not literally. It's a little gross, literally. But the AT-ATs were a representation of the Imperials being able to smash the rebels. And I guess they did use the new AT-ATs in that way after a fashion. After they went, mad spoilers, incoming, mad spoilers, bad end of the movie. I'm probably going to stop saying that. If I'm talking about a movie that just came out now, expect spoilers. On the last scene where they were like, oh, the planet's red because of salt, that's the least explanation that made me the least mad about space things they explained or didn't explain. The salt was alright because we get pink salt and I heard somebody be like, well, we don't get pink salt on our planet. Yeah, not here on Earth. Fucking space. Keyword, not here on Earth, which is where they're not. They're not on Earth. They probably get red salt out in space. Alright? That is very reasonable. The thing is, they were going for like a Kubrick moment, and some of the moments were visually striking, but the one I found most visually striking, switching hands again, earthquake! My other arm's getting tired now. The most visually striking thing I saw was, Luke Skywalker standing in that famous stance of Luke Skywalker, that famous picture of Luke standing with the lightsaber, looking kind of pissed off at, I forget what scene that's in, but it's from the original trilogy. It's quite a famous picture. It's when I think Luke Skywalker, I think the picture of him standing against evil with his lightsaber of flame, much like he is the literal representation of hope in the galaxy. And I did kind of like the end where they're like, there's a new hope and it's Rey, but also Rey, yeah, okay, I knew that was gonna happen the whole time. I thought Finn was gonna die, and then Finn didn't die, and then they set up a lot of things in the movie and then didn't do anything with them, it seems like. Also, they had the pieces to make a great Star Wars movie. You could have made a really good Star Wars movie with this. With the pieces that they had, they could have made the best Star Wars movie ever. They could have had a cantina scene that shits all over Mos Eisley. They could have had an epic Jedi battle. I did like the Jedi. A lot of the end felt like they were writing themselves into a corner and then they fucking just made some bullshit up at the end. Like, there's no way out! But the Ice Foxes know! Let's talk about the expanded universe, because we just talked about the fucking casino. The fucking casino. Alright! It's one of the things that just legitimately pissed me off about the film. It wasn't even out of the film. I was like, it doesn't make any goddamn sense. I was actively thinking this in the film. This broke my sense of versatility. I don't remember what the French people call it. Broke my sense of immersion in the fucking film while I was there. I was like, man, why the fuck did he park on the beach when the casino has a goddamn landing pad and service? Hey, you know what? They'd be real happy to land you. Real happy. If they have a fucking landing pad with chauffeur whatever parking service at the casino, they're not gonna refuse you docking at the casino, you fuckknobs. So instead of spending 15 minutes to properly dock at the casino, they get locked up for 10 hours because reasons of plot? Go fuck yourself. Roundly. And then that's the only reason they introduced Benicio del Toro's character. Oh, and the 10 minutes we spent talking about the guy with the thing on his lapel, he's just there to literally have somebody blow on his dice and then tell them to shut up. My God, man. My God. That like made me, I was like, what? While I was watching it, I was like, what the fuck is... See, and this also exemplifies what's terrible about the film. Because they did something good to suggest a further universe. Because in the movie, in the cantina scene, in the fucking, the Sarlacc pit, so forth, These are all meant to suggest the larger universe to the character, the people who's watching our characters struggle it out in Struggle City there. The thing is, it felt more like buy these pork dolls down at Toys R Us, $5.99 only. And instead of like everybody in the theater was like, porgs. Why the porgs could have entirely been reducted from the movie, and all it would have subtracted is nothing. You could have kept. I'm not mad about the ice foxes. People were like, the ice foxes didn't make any sense. It's like, you know, the ice foxes actually did something. Like, I felt like the ice foxes did something because the writers didn't know how to get out of there, and they're like, you know what, let's use the foxes, blah, blah, whatever. They actually, like, did something in the plot versus the porgs. Name one thing the porgs did besides porg shit. Nothing. They did nothing. They didn't advance the story. They were just there for like Chewbacca to like make a joke about and then karate chop off the panel while he's trying to do shit in the fucking Millennium Falcon there. Let's talk about the trading sequence. Man, I guess if they're going for an embittered Luke and at the same time assassinating the old Luke's character, I'm just gonna put my arms down because both arms are killing me right now. I guess it's just like I've explained before, that's not the archetype of Luke Skywalker. And also, they killed off all the characters that are interested in being in the film and people that are also alive. Like, Han Solo, character dead, actor not interested in Star Wars. Leia Organa Solo, actor dead. Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker, actor might be interested, don't know. They're kind of destroying his character. But here's the thing. The only character and actor that's alive of a character in the film is now dead. What are they going to do with Leia? They had a chance to kill off Leia and they had to put a Leia double in there. Yeah, no, just have her die. Cool. We all know that Princess Leia is dead. Just kill her, alright? You could have killed her in the film. And then my mom was telling me they're going to have her go on and be like, she was sick. And yeah, I know. That's what... That's exactly what I would call some ham-fisted Hollywood bullshit. She was sick ever since the accident when you should have killed her in the first place. Alright. Let's move on. Snoke. Oh boy! Man, if Snoke was that powerful to be able to connect people like that, because first off, let's talk about the Force connection. Force connection in the original trilogy was just like somebody smelled a bad smell in the room and was like, this reminds me of Luke, and then they'd like stare wistfully off into the sunset. And then they'd think about the person they were like, Han Solo. This one is like, what, like, why the fuck do you people even have technology instead of propagating Force adepts that just broadcast images to other people? Also, if Snoke was that powerful, he could have just killed people by being in the room with them. Darth Nihilus style. His hatred and Sith power is so strong, he could have sucked the life force out of them by being near them. Just saying, man. Well, he could have Exar Kun teleported, like, / revived out of one of their corpses. But no? Unless Snoke's not that strong. And then how? I mean, I guess And here's the thing, I'm not even mad about the way they portrayed the Luke. Gotta put my other arm down, man. This is killing me here. I'm not even mad about the way they portrayed the Luke, Kylo Ren fight. I'm mad about the action that took place because that's not how sword fencing works, and I would be glad to show it to anybody. Try your Hollywood bullshit out. They should be doing historical techniques taken from European actual wartime techniques that were used when people murdered each other with swords all the time. Not this Hollywood BS, but the force projection. Again, this whole force projection that I can see, sort of, and I get, yeah, but I don't recall force projection being like that. I could be wrong. I'm not that good on it about as far as force projection goes. Maybe I'll read my the D&D 3 era Star Wars RPG rulebook if they have a force projection description there. I'm not gonna ask Google because Google has since been tainted. And let's talk about Snoke doing the whole projection thing. Why not, instead of showing me a bad CGI Snoke, let's just stretch you all the way out, maybe that'll help. Instead of showing me a bad CGI Snoke, just keep him on a projection screen, man. Like, I get it, he's like this desiccated old Sith sorcerer, and that's like a thing. But here's also the thing. Those desiccated old Sith sorcerers, like Darth Nihilus, were so powerful that they could just be like, oh cool, I'm sucking your life force out of you by you being within 50 feet of me. And you're making me live. They could just kill you by being around. It wasn't like even like he gestured or anything. It was just like, it wasn't even anything they were doing. Just the sheer oppressive force of their hatred and dark side of the force killed people around them. That's it. And distilled their life essence into them. I think Snoke was that powerful. Maybe they're just misportraying the power, or I'm misreading it, the power scaling here. Yeah. I got beef with Yoda showing up. Because all of these characters from the original series seem like just show it. What the fuck did C-3PO do besides be there to be like, oh, isn't C-3PO C-3PO? Well, buy him in store. R2-D2 is here too. Buy him in stores. Buy him in stores. Get your new BB-8 coin change machine, BB-8. Yeah. Now, that's what every robot felt like, except for the one robot who kind of got them captured. That one was alright. Sort of. It was okay, sort of. I'm just giving things the most blatant of... I'm passing things off in these movies because I'm a Star Wars nerd and I'm looking to give them a pass. And even when I'm looking to give these Star Wars films a pass, they fall short on so many scales because it's just so... Not Star Wars, man. It's not... This is Star Wars I watched when I was a kid. Okay? What Star Wars I read in the books? And the Star Wars I played in the role-playing game, man. I'm a Star Wars nerd. And this is not Star Wars. This is Spacing Private Ryan, bro. And the only reason that most of this Spacing Private Ryan happened is because you guys, for some reason, didn't let them land on a place that had plenty of landing pads. Just landed on the beach for reasons. And that's the thing about a lot of these trilogies. The bombers just happened for reasons. The whole bomber sequence was reasons. There's so much in these trilogies that happened because of just reasons, and I'm not mad about that. Well, but while you're saying just reasons because all this stuff is happening, also you're saying that, you know, this isn't the movies, kid. Yeah, that's what Star Wars was about. It was about this is the movies. This is Star Wars. This is where the moisture farmer topples the empire. This is where the little man stands up to the irresistible powers of intergalactic government. The thing is, I should say interstellar government. The thing is, oh man, my arms are just killing me here. I gotta figure out another setup for these long live streams. When you say that things happen for reasons, things that are statistically impossible happening for reasons, and then you say things that are statistically impossible don't happen because it doesn't make our movie grim enough? No. No. You're wrong. You want to have your cake and eat it too. You can't, dog. You can't have the blower, have all this shit happen, the bombers blow up for reasons, and fucking them waste hours for reasons, and all this to just be reasons. Let's actually, after they finish this explanation, we'll get back into the expanded universe, which we never finished. You can't do all that for reasons, plot reasons, and then be like, well, we can't make plot reasons for the good guys happen. Well, you see where we're at. They say that this isn't Star Wars because, you know, Star Wars is... This isn't the real world, kid. Yeah, it isn't. As you displayed with your porgs that went to live on a spaceship. This is the real world. This ain't the movies, kid. Yeah. You displayed that this is the movies by that lady who was just there to scream and the fat lady sings for a second. Literally. The thing is, my friend, you could have suggested the wider universe in the way they did it in the cantina, which is why it struck everybody. Is because there's a bunch of Bith. They didn't tell you what the hell Bith were. They were just Bith there, playing instruments, doing some Bith shit. There's a Bith band, a whole Bith band dressed alike, and they didn't tell you nothing about that. Like, look at that guy. There's some band of Biths. But this one, they just like zoomed in on him real quick, and then like, here's the greedy goblin. Because the Bith band wasn't so, and the multifaceted characters and the other backgrounds weren't so focused on. Yeah, they had a couple guys who did some like average bar shit, be like, who are you? Some drunk criminal tried to start a bar fight and got shitted on. Jeez, it sounds like none of you's ever been to a bar before. That happens all the time as far as I know. I've been into bars. I've seen lots of bar fights. I've not been in them because I don't participate in that bullshit. But I've seen it start and then I leave, man. I'm like, yeah. Because I'm always paid up. I'm always just ready to go. I'm like, I see some shit happening. I'm like, oh, man, I'm out this motherfucker. And, yeah. So, there was a bunch of very bar-y things that happened at the bar. I didn't have problems with the drunk goblin putting things in BB-8 because, you know, if they just, like, maybe put that in the background while characters were talking, that could have been great. Like, the characters are trying to figure out how to, like, on screen, trying to figure out how we get to the guy with the roses, bloop, 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 and in the background, the drunk goblin's doing that thing instead of zooming in on it, and then only paying off with it that he's like, he's greedy. He's a greedy goblin. Alright. The way that they did it really well also, and to expand the universe in this. Like that giant sea dragon in the beginning on the island that they show you, that's the way to do it. There's just like a giant dragon in the water. Don't even say anything about it. Just be like, giant fuck off dragon. Don't worry about it. And then that will like capture the audience and be like, what was that giant fucking dragon in the water? We don't know. It was part of the Star Wars universe. We don't think about it around here because it's just part of life. So we're not going to focus in on it because why would you focus on the mundane unless you're trying to sell me the mundane over at a store as soon as I get out of this theater? I like the AT-ATs. The new AT-ATs were cool because I'm a Star Wars nerd. And in the one shot where Kylo Ren and Luke were standing off, they did use AT-ATs correctly. They used AT-ATs right when they were standing behind Kylo Ren. All of the AT-ATs and the spacecraft was there to represent Imperial might, and that's what they're there to do. That's their purpose. Like stormtroopers, they're supposed to be the endless tide of irresistible armored death troopers that can't hit a damn thing. That wasn't part of... Stormtrooper accuracy wasn't a thing until the 90s, when people that didn't understand movie tones and why the stormtroopers were missing kept on talking about stormtrooper accuracy. It's not that they're wrong, it's just that they don't comment on things like the bombers blowing up for plot reasons while trying to comment on stormtrooper accuracy. It's just you don't understand what's happening here. This is the same thing. It's plot happening for plot reasons. It's called plot armor. But this time, the filmmakers are trying to make plot armor a thing, and then also tell you that there's no plot armor happening. Bro, just plot armor and then tell me you got some plot armor, because you can't plot armor and then tell me, no, there's no plot armor here, this is the real world. Get out of here with that. Now let's talk about it being Guillermo del Toro's, oh, the good guys are the bad guys are the good guys. You know, you people don't believe that. Real quick, this is made by the people who take a shit on anybody who doesn't live in California. If you live in Nebraska, they think you're a savage. If you live in Africa, they don't even give a shit that you're alive. Like, if you live somewhere like Mogadishu and 500 of you got exploded in a day, none of these Hollywood people care. And so these Hollywood sociopaths are trying to lecture you and I on there being no good and evil, even though that's something they don't believe. And they very distinctly describe good and evil mostly beyond on geographical, political, and racial lines? Gee, imagine me not wanting to hear anything about that from fucking Hollywood. Good God. And this is coming when Hollywood actors are like, we make a difference! Fucking court jesters. Yeah, Luke Skywalker affected my life. Mark Hamill affected my life in a sense that I love Star Wars. There we go, that's the end of it. There we go. But I love Star Wars to this day. They didn't affect my political opinion. I don't go out in the streets and try to move rocks. I'm not a Jedi because of my religion, because of Luke Skywalker. These Hollywood people didn't affect anything about my life. But yet they seek to aggrandize and talk about morality that they don't have. Real fucking quick, Harvey Weinstein. Let's just say that. Let's also just say, what the fuck is that child molester's name that everybody's like, well, no, he's a genius filmmaker, so he can molest kids. Yeah. There is no good and evil, say the people who stand by child molesters and rapists, but malign you for not agreeing with them on tax laws. this movie is so they're tonally deaf, morally condescending and corrupt. Manipulative, calculated, contrived. What else do I have to say about it? While being entirely contrived, I find it completely far-fetched. And they also had a bullet-time lightsaber dodge, which is a crime on its own. Did I like it? Yeah! I'm a Star Wars nerd. I liked it. I'm a dork. I had a hard time liking this movie because it's a bad movie. It's a bad movie, but I like bad movies. And I like bad Star Wars movies because, like I said, I'm a Star Wars nerd, man. And they can come to me with some BS like this. I'll accept you for it, but I'm not going to tell anybody else that it's a good film. If you're like me and seeing a new AT-AT with a cannon on its back, like, rocks you a half chub, maybe check out the movie. If you're not like me and you don't get a half chub from seeing an AT-AT with a new gun on it, definitely don't see this movie. Unless you laugh at things like Porg screaming next to Chewbacca and you are easily cloyed, then watch this movie because it is quite manipulative, organized, calculated, and generally synthesized is the way we'll call it. It's a very synthesized Star Wars movie, and not the movie I watched when I was a kid. But isn't that the thing? What did Yoda say? The curse that they surpass us. I don't think this movie surpassed anything. But time goes on, people understand less and less and less, while thinking they understand more and more. What's it called? The paradox that the two Harvard professors studied. Anyways, have a nice day. Definitely go see this movie unless you were just rock hard about Star Wars.